had a moment happen yesterday that made me feel really bad when I got home and reflected on it. So we were coming back from recess and a kid came up to me and said, "Mr. Luke, I need a Bandaid." We were trying to get ready to start the lesson. And I was like, all right, let me take a look. So I took a look, wasn't bleeding. It was no bigger than a paper cut. And I was like, look, your arm's not falling off. Your head's not rolling along the floor. I think you'll be all right. But let me know at the end of the day if you still need one and we can put one on, but we've got to start the lesson. I missed a big moment to connect with a kid, and I wasn't really listening to what they were asking for. It wasn't about the Band-Aid. It was about 30 seconds of my time to show that I care and that they belong. And I just wasn't listening. So I wanted to make sure that next time that something like that happens, I change it. And today I had my moment to change it. And I call it my Buffalo moment. So we were learning about the Western expansion. And as teachers, we have a time schedule, right? We've got content that we've got to get through. You've got a beginning, a middle, an end. They've got activities. You've got to make sure that you can do some kind of formative assessment or summative assessment to make sure that they've learned the content that you're teaching them. And we had 20 minutes left. And in the lesson, we started to talk about buffaloes. And then a kid raised their hand and said, "Mr. Luke, what's a buffalo?" Like, oh no. Teacher brain kicked in. I just need to keep the lesson moving forward. Can't be derailed. But then I remembered the Band-Aid and I was like, you know what? This kid wants to be heard. And if they can be heard, it's not going to be a bunch of pent-up frustration. Like, I really want to say something and you haven't let me say it. And I didn't want to teach that a curious question was a distraction, because it's not. So I entertained the question and I typed in Google buffalo so that they could have a visual, and up popped an American buffalo. And then next to it, all these different types of buffalo popped up. And then there was a question from another kid and popped up. Why is that buffalo different than this buffalo? Like, okay, so we're going to go this route. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hands all shot up. Engagement just went through the roof after the first 20 minutes of talking about the Western expansion. Nothing. As soon as we mentioned buffalo, all but 2 hands went up. So I entertained every single kid's question. I gave them 30 seconds. And there was kids coming up to the smartboard and they were pointing out the horns of the buffalo, the different types of fur, different types of background, how big one was, how small one was. And what we ended up finding out as a class was, yes, one was an American buffalo, but the other one was an African buffalo. It was one of the best 20 minutes that I've had in class of kids learning, because I wasn't teaching the content, I was teaching who is in front of me. We can get caught up in having to stick to schedules and stick to content and not really listen to what the kids are actually telling us through their actions and through their behavior. Because it's not what we teach, it's who we teach. When you look at the kids in front of you, each kid has a way of wanting to belong, and they do that through their behavior. You've got the loudest kid in the room who always comes in and they want to be heard, and they're distracting because maybe at home they don't get that. They don't get the attention. They haven't found belonging. And your classroom is meant to be a place for kids to feel like they belong, that they're wanted, that they're loved, that they're part of a tribe. Then you've got the quiet kid who sits there and they're just observing. They're observing whether you're someone that they can trust, someone that they can listen to. And if you end up in that person's tribe, you're doing good. You're lucky, because they only select a few people. And you've got the fashion kid, the one who comes in all bling blinged out. They got the latest gear, the latest clothes, the latest tech, and they're trying to find their tribe just through the way that they look. You got the class clown. Class clown always makes everybody laugh. But what we don't listen to, what we don't see, what we don't hear is them making everybody laugh because they feel a lot of pain and they don't want others to feel that pain. And they can find their tribe through laughter and making other people laugh. Each kid has a different way of communicating with us. Don't always stick to the content. The content can wait. Our kids can't. Think the buffalo. There is an abundance of information at everybody's fingertips. They can learn about the Western expansion whenever they want. What those kids are going to remember is they're going to remember the 20 minutes of learning about buffalo. And when they learn more about the Western expansion, stuff's going to still stick with them from the stuff that they learned, because they're going to be able to connect it to the moment that they were able to share what they know and what they found out about a buffalo. So the next time that a kid asks you for a Band-Aid, I mean, sometimes they might need it, right? It might be gushing and they definitely need to go and then go see the nurse. But if it's just a scrape and it's little, and you know that they don't need a Band-Aid, that kid definitely knows they don't need a Band-Aid, give them a Band-Aid. Show them that you care. Show them that they belong. And when there's a curious question in your classroom, don't stifle the curiosity. That is what school is for. School is for creativity. It's for curiosity. It's for discovery. That moment of the buffalo. Remember the buffalo moment. Listen to your kids. Encourage engagement. And give a Band-Aid when they need it. I'm Mr. Luke. This is Mr. Luke Unplugged. And you have just unplugged. Help us grow this channel, join us and subscribe.